and run to tell me when she cried. He did not like her crying. He later gave her a nickname, Shmoo, which he always called her. Lance had beautiful curly blonde hair. Everywhere I took him, women would pull his curls and gush over it. One day, he was in the child seat in a long line at the supermarket. A lady behind us came up and started playing with his curls over and over again. He took it as long as he could and finally said most emphatically, "Would you please quit that? You are making me crazy." You can imagine the surprise of that woman. She left him alone after that. We lived in the country, so Lance and Stephanie did not have many other children to play with. When he was 3, Lance started in preschool. I didn't want to leave him the first day, but one of the teachers was a friend of ours and told me he would be fine. When I picked him up 3 hours later, I learned that he had spent the whole time under the coat rack and would not come out. Day 2 and 3 were also spent under the coat rack. The teacher said he would come out when he was ready. Finally, on day 4, Lance came out from under the coat rack and proceeded to completely take over the class and tell the teachers what needed to be done in the classroom. That preschool was never the same. Lance never knew a stranger, and everywhere we took him, he would tell anyone who would listen whatever we had been doing at home. Sometimes things we didn't want to. We learned early on to be careful about what we said in front of Lance, or it would end up all over our small community. Lance loved Sesame Street. He would act out the skits from the Cookie Monster, Grover, the Count, and Bert and Ernie with his dad. They later progressed to Saturday Night Live skits. I always told them that they should be a comedy writing team. When he grew older, he was so excited to start kindergarten and ride the big yellow school bus. He came home the first day and announced he had made a new friend. Lockie was from a poor family who lived in an old home down the road from us. This was the beginning of Lance's lifelong trait to befriend those who were not a part of the in crowd, who didn't have as much as some others. He and Lockie were best friends until Lockie moved away some years later. At Christmas, when he was 8, we gave Lance and Stephanie a registered lab puppy. It was really for Dad to take hunting, but we told him it was for them. We would have to wait a couple more weeks before we could bring her home, and on Christmas morning, about 4 a.m., Dad got up and went to the puppy farm and brought the puppy home. We put a big red bow around her neck and slipped her up the stairs into the room where the kids were waiting to get their Christmas packages. It was love at first sight for both of them. Lance helped his dad train Sam to retrieve. Dad liked to duck hunt and tried to get Lance interested in going with him, but Lance would go and sit in the duck blind with Dad and Sam, but never wanted to shoot anything. Sam and Lance were best buddies until Lance moved away from home and until her death. He still talked about her and had pictures of her in his apartment. Lance entered into his first contract with someone in the 4th grade. This was with his school superintendent. Lance liked doing the gifted assignments, but thought math and English were a waste of his precious time. The contract stated that he had to do his regular schoolwork, including math and English, before he could participate in the gifted assignments. He signed the contract in front of both of us and the superintendent. Later, in 6th grade, he made his first movie, a claymation movie about guacamole. It was a huge hit, and the teacher kept it to use as a teaching tool. He also created his comic strip about the worm family and played trumpet in the school band. When Lance was in 8th grade, we moved to Virginia. He instantly fell in love with Virginia, especially all the tall, tall trees. He, of course, went on a mission to learn the names of every tree in the state. We had a lovely backyard where he'd sit amongst the trees with Sam at his side and read for hours and hours. That year, he also started taking French, the first of 6 years. His French name was Francois. At the beginning of high school in 9th grade, art and drama became his real love. He was in several plays, and his art work was displayed in the main entry of the high school. We should have had another contract at this point. His studies were just not as important as his beloved art and drama. In 10th grade, Lance got his car. There was absolutely no stopping him now. He would never get to sleep until we heard him come home. We can still hear the sound of that car pulling into the driveway at night. As a junior in high school, Lance started working at a health food store. He took nutrition classes and knew about as much about nutrition and the operation of that store as the owner did. He loved working there and stayed on until his college years. In 12th grade, he became even more anxious to finish high school and get on to college. He decided to go to VCU and major in art. When he started college, Mom, Lance's mother, cried after taking him to his cool pad in Richmond. It was a complete dump. But he loved it and was so proud of it. After VCU, as we all know, when he moved here to try and make it in the art world, he worked at the Kennedy Center as a production assistant, and then the Shakespeare Theater before coming to the Studio Theater, his second family. He loved everyone here, and his father and I both wish to thank all of you for your love and support this past week and for hosting this event today. We would also especially like to thank Pat, Deb, Garrett, Jamie, and especially Kiri, our new adopted son, for helping with the physical work of cleaning up the apartment and also for emotional support. When we used to tuck Lance in at night, we'd say, "Turn off your brain, son, so that you can get to sleep." I don't think he ever did. He was planning new projects even in his sleep. Now, at last, dear son, you are at rest. No more worries or pressures, no more monsters under the bed. Rest in peace and know that you have a piece of our hearts with you always. Love forever, Mom and Dad.